Most people that work and contribute to any sort of retirement plan already know loosely what a 401k is. But do you know what it does for you? Do you know what you have to achieve in that 401k to have the retirement that you want? Or are you just loosely throwing money into the plan that your employer told you to in hopes that one day it pays off? For me, it feels like 401ks are more the latter than the former. 401ks were introduced to the market through the Revenue Act of 1978. And while it took a little while for them to catch on and gain traction in the market, they've largely taken the place of pension plans, which our grandparents or maybe your parents participated in and helped them through their retirement. But today, I want to take a look at what the 401k plan actually does in comparison to what those pensions were doing for the older generations. So you go to work, you make your contribution, and if you're lucky, your employer matches at least a portion of that, and it goes into your 401k plan. That's where it ends for most of you. You put that money in, it goes into an automatic fund that is selected by the algorithm or the AI that your plan sponsor has put in place, and you don't think about it again. You think, they've got my best interest in mind. Wrong. Couldn't be more wrong. In a 401k, you get to invest from a menu that 401k plan sponsor puts out there for you. You largely get steered towards high-cost mutual funds, and they limit how you get to invest. While you get to decide, you still only get to pick from the menu that is offered to you in that 401k plan. You don't get the opportunity to go outside of it. And so they control how your money's invested and how much fee is charged. See, in a pension, the employer takes all of the investment risk. It is incumbent upon them to provide the benefit that they said they were going to provide for that employee. In a 401k, you have to pick, in most cases, how your money's invested. And you get to pick from their menu of probably pretty high-priced mutual funds. The 401k plan, while it had good intentions, has largely turned into a fee generation source for these investment companies and for your plan sponsor. I want to take a look at how much you need in a 401k to give you the type of retirement that our grandparents and maybe our great-grandparents, depending on how old you are, had in their retirements from pensions. So let's rewind. From 1875, when the first non-government pension was offered in America, until 1978, largely, people contributed to those pension plans through their work. And they counted on an income later in life when they slowed down from work and when they retired. On average, in 1985, that pension amount was $380. And while to us that may not sound like a lot, in today's money, it's just a little bit short of $1,100 a month that they would have received on average from the average pension in 1985, shortly after the Revenue Act introduced 401ks. According to all of the major brokerage firms, plan sponsors, 401k sponsors, the safe withdrawal amount from that 401k in retirement is 4%. And so you need to have at least $300,000 in your 401k to generate the same amount of pension dollars that our grandfathers and grandmothers were getting in 1985. Newsflash. Most workers don't have $300,000 in their 401k. They don't have $300K in their 401k for a number of reasons. Market fluctuations have happened, but we've seen tremendous market runs. Fees happen inside of those accounts, and shocker, most workers aren't professional investors. And so while you're contributing to that 401k plan, you're also expected to be the one that gets to drive the investments and manage those investments, unless you pay a higher fee for someone who manages it. Most United States workers are not professional investors on the side. And so they're picking what the company says they should pick or what gets recommended in a lot of times. The average 401k in today's world, a Gen Z worker has on average $13,000 saved in a 401k. A millennial, about $66,000. Gen X, about $191,000. And baby boomers, who we get a ton of comments about. They're ruining the world, allegedly. They don't even have the average needed to create that pension amount. They only have $250,000 saved in their 401ks on average. Now, this group of workers, baby boomers specifically, I want to talk about. They have had since 1978 to start contributing to 401ks. And largely, employers have shifted pensions to 401ks. And if you've worked at a retail job or any job across America, you've been exposed to the offering of a 401k. And the average baby boomer has less than what it takes to create the pension that their parents had of $1,000 a month. They don't even have the $300k that you need to meet that pension average from 1985. To me, 401ks are a failed experiment. People do not have assurances when they retire that their income needs are going to be met. They have this lump sum of assets, largely less than what they would need to generate that amount of income, and it's invested in investments that they don't understand and that are high in fee. And so while it's important to contribute to your retirement, I think there needs to be a shift in how that money gets invested. Create for yourself a pension. The 401k plan is a failed experiment. On average, people don't have enough to create the types of retirements that they were creating in 1985. We've not made things better, we've made them worse. The average pension is more expensive for the employer to operate, for now. But the employer isn't the one that's counting on the money at the end. The employer is the one that's trying to save money to make bigger profits. The employee is the one who's getting shafted here. You're getting higher fees. You're getting a menu of investments that you get to choose from, not that you pick, but that somebody else picks for you. And you're not able to save as much as your grandparents or parents had when they retired in 1985. The pension allows for a set amount of income that you can reliably count on and that is not going to be affected by market risk or fluctuations. Why we made this shift is pretty apparent to me. To generate fees off of these types of investments, the shift from pension to 401k, while it was hidden under some legislation that tried to make people think that, oh, you're going to be more in control of your money and you're going to get to invest it and you're going to make more gains. While that is potentially true, you could potentially make more than these pensions were making, investing in the markets. Again, you don't get to drive your investments fully. You only get to pick from a menu. A 401k is not an IRA. A 401k is under control of your employer. We've seen over 30 years of 401ks play out now, and we've seen less and less pensions. And what I can tell you is this: Americans are less ready to retire than ever. They have no idea where the income is going to come from. They're looking around thinking, I contributed to this 401k for my whole life, thinking that it was going to be enough for me to retire and live comfortably. But they don't even have enough on average to make up for a pension from 1985 in today's dollars. Where did we go wrong? Well, we put corporate benefits and fees in place of looking out for our employees. How can we save a few pennies here contributing to this plan instead of what is it going to look like for our employees 20 or 30 years down the road? If you've stuck around this long, you may have noticed something different about this video. The sign's upside down. Well, I think 401ks turned retirement upside down in 1978. People knew how to retire on pensions. They knew how much income they were going to receive. They knew it was going to be there, and they knew it was going to last them for their lifetime. But if you have a 401k plan and it's been eroded by fees or it's been eroded by market risk over the last few decades, do you really have the same type of retirement, or were you cheated for some corporate profit and some 401k fees that got sucked out along the way? It's not too late. If you have a 401k or you have an IRA, you can turn those into a pension. So follow along. We're going to teach you how to take this 401k that's largely underperformed and overfeed and turn it into a pension. You can create for yourself the retirement that you deserve, not the one that the 401k plan says you have to have. Like and subscribe for more.